So then the question that kind of, emerges from this is, okay, well, we have raw milk and we know that we can kill these pathogens via pasteurization, but what's the problem with pasteurization? Why don't people want to use it? What sort of benefits does pasteurization have? Is there any proof that it actually does something for us? So a lot of advocates of raw milk feel that pasteurization decreases the health benefits and takes away from the nutrients. It gets kind of complicated. I'm not actually going to go into it that much, but there's never been any scientific data proving this. However, what has been done, NIA did it, the CDC did a study on it, and I think the FDA did a study on it as well, showing that, hey, we're going to pasteurize this milk, test the nutritional content of it afterwards, and it didn't change at all. So it doesn't actually take away from the nutritional content of milk. So pasteurization is simply defined as a process where milk is heated for a short period of time to destroy pathogens that may be present in milk. It's not a chemical process, it's not, a microbial process, it's just simply heating up the milk. It's not dangerous to anybody. So there's really nothing that says, hey, this is going to impact, human life negatively. So in the FDA, in order for milk to be sold across lines, it has to follow this grade A pasteurized milk ordinance, which is the PMO. So that's fine because, milk that is sold, across state lines isn't dangerous really because it is pasteurized. It does have to hit this standard, but the scary thing is, manufacturers that only want to still sell milk, within the state, like some of the, the milks that you don't really, not the brand name ones, they vary in microbial standards. So that means that, hey, we're going to set, a state tests the milk for microbes or, pathogens, and they say, hey, it's acceptable, maybe to have 10,000, organisms of bacteria, whereas another state might say, hey, we don't want any bacteria seen in this milk. So it's all over the place. Every state is different. There's no standard, so something absolutely needs to be done about that. The pasteurization actually has, been shown to actually decrease the amount of milk-borne illnesses that are seen. So, for example, the incidence of milk-borne disease dropped dramatically from 25% of all food outbreaks in 1938 to less than 1% at the beginning of the 21st century. Obviously, that's a huge jump. That is huge. So it clearly helps eliminate these types of foodborne illnesses. It's also helped to eradicate one serious and fatal illnesses such as tuberculosis, which used to be a big problem, because kids and adults and the elderly would drink milk contaminated with TB, and then they would, get sick and die from it. So pasteurization has helped, eradicate this. So essentially, pasteurization is the most effective method of enhancing the microbiological safety of milk, according to a study done in 2009 by Dr. Berry. So essentially, just to kind of wrap that all up, raw milk shouldn't be sold in the United States because it does harbor many microorganisms that are considered pathogenic to humans, such as, like the E. coli and the Listeria and the Campylobacter. A lot of these microbes do cause illness in humans, which is usually associated with GI upset or, stomach aches, that kind of thing. And a lot of these outbreaks are associated with the consumption of raw milk. And, states that have legalized the sale of it have seen more milk-borne illnesses than states who have not. There's also scientific data that proves that pasteurization does kill microbes, but it does not affect the nutritional content of milk whatsoever. And since pasteurization was first introduced, the amount of milk-borne illnesses has dramatically decreased. So some of the things that should be done as far as the sale of raw milk. It should be prohibited. It shouldn't be legalized within the states because of the dangerous, effects that it can have on, human consumption. So obviously, in order for that to happen, it would take a lot while. There'd be a lot of legislation that would have to go through in order to completely ban this, and it probably, unfortunately, isn't going to happen at any point because you're getting a lot of people who are advocating, hey, we don't want this freedom taken away from us. We should get to decide, if we want to drink the milk, if we want to sell it. People just are really uneducated about, the type of pathogens that it harbors. So in order, steps that can be taken to help decrease this is that, education should be kind of enhanced. Grocery stores can help, put out pamphlets saying, hey, we don't sell raw milk here because of these reasons. The FDA and the USDA should also be the only organizations that, should regulate milk, whether it's raw, whether it's pasteurized. They should be the only ones setting the standards, saying, hey, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. It shouldn't be statewide. It shouldn't be little, manufacturers stating these, or, implementing these standards. So like I said, one of the main things is education. In the meantime, if raw milk is to be sold, then there should be strict limits on the amount of microbes that are allowed in milk. It shouldn't be, hey, it's okay if we see 10,000 coliforms or E. coli in milk, because you can't really distinguish between, the types of bacteria such as coliforms, like E. coli, the different types of E. coli in milk, unless extensive microbiological testing is done. The manufacturers that do produce raw milk should have to follow strict guidelines on processing and distribution. They have to, have extreme sanitary, procedures in place. They should also be held accountable for any costs that come with selling raw milk, if there is a recall, such as medical cost, recall cost, that kind of thing. Also, one big thing that we look at is testing of the milk. So what happens with milk is they do lot testing, which they'll have a huge bulk tank of milk, and they'll take maybe 10 samples from there, and they'll test it to see if any microbes exist. That doesn't give you a very good indication. Some places don't even do this. So each gallon or half gallon or whatever that's sent out should be tested individually, as opposed to just doing a huge bulk tank testing. Sometimes they're not going to show up, and that's just how it is. So if the sale of raw milk cannot be banned, it should at least be made very difficult to sell and distribute to customers. So essentially, I'm going to, wrap it up saying, hey, raw milk is very dangerous to consumers. They've seen a huge influx of milk-borne illnesses related with this that are dangerous, that are affecting everybody, not just, kids or the elderly, even though those are the, targeted population. But it's just something that needs to be more under control, and it should be banned in the U.S. It's not something that we should continue to do.